Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here, coming to you from Madrid, Spain. Today with another vlog on life here in this country. Now, we're going to go into Madrid. I'm going to talk today about driving in Spain, and I'm going to give you my impression of what it's like to drive in this country. So let's get the show on the road. First thing I'm going to comment on is the Spanish road system, and in my opinion it's a fairly good road system. Okay, you could argue that, you know, it's been paid for by the rest of the European countries, but nevertheless it is quite good. If you live in a big city like Madrid or any of the other big cities, the roads in and out are fairly good. Normally they're a multi-lane motorway or highway, and traffic normally moves quite well. Some are obviously fairly busy. This one that I'm on at the moment is called the A3, and it goes from Madrid to Valencia, and it's a 3-lane highway, at least coming into the city. For the rest of the journey, if you go all the way down to Valencia, it's probably only 2, but we're going into the city, so we have access to 3, sometimes 4 lanes. And you know, it's 10 o'clock in the morning now, and traffic's moving fairly well. I mean, I'm, you know, going about 120 kilometers an hour. Haven't had any great incidents yet, and everybody seems to be moving fairly well. Driving gets a bit more complicated when you get into the cities. So, especially the big cities. You know, remember Madrid's a city with about 3.5 million people, and driving in the city, depending on the time of the day, peak hours especially, can be quite complicated. There's a couple of roads that are more complicated than others, but people end up normally getting to work more or less on time, I think, if you leave early enough. The other question is, what are the Spanish like when they drive? And I'll answer that when we get into the city. And we'll probably see a couple of examples. Basically, driving here is similar to driving in any big city. There's a lot of cars, a lot of people driving, and as a result, complications arise. As we all know, some people drive better than others, or some people think they drive better than others. Obviously that's true. I mean, we can't all be professional drivers, but the basic rules apply. Drive with respect, and hopefully people will respect you. Some people are aggressive, but, you know, no worse than other places. I remember driving in the UK a few years ago, and I found it really aggressive there. And I don't see it as that aggressive here. Sort of depends on the time of the day, how hot it is, various other factors that could be going on in people's lives. But basically people, you know, they drive okay. There's a little bit of stress in the heavy traffic situations, but as you can see here, we're now in the middle of the city. We're moving okay. I mean, there's a complicated area coming up here, so we'll see how we get through that, but yeah, it's not too bad. I've been doing this route for the last year or so, and only once, I think, have I had a serious hold up. Then again, traffic is stopping here, which is not a good sign. Traffic is a bit backed up, but I haven't heard anybody beep the horn. fairly good. Normally, horn beeping is a priority. Drivers are only as good as the road system on which they drive. So if your road system's not very good, which is the case in this city at least, where you get a lot of people trying to cross over lanes constantly, that's where the traffic problems arise. Alright, I've managed to get through the more difficult part of the traffic. Big cities is a lot of people don't know where they're going, so it sort of adds to the mayhem. Decide at the last minute that they want to change the way they're going, try to cross 3 or 4 lanes in order to turn left, which is just absolutely crazy. But anyway, it's not that bad. A lot easier to take the bus, a lot easier to, in Madrid at least, or Barcelona, take the metro. Then you don't have to worry about parking, which can be expensive. Most definitely public transport is the way to go in these cities. Now, because I'm not from the European Union, I had to get a Spanish driver's license. So I went through the system here. Okay, so you can probably tell it's another day. Problem was, the other day I was driving and I saw some police and I didn't want to get pulled over for perhaps doing something that I shouldn't be doing. I don't know whether this is legal or not in Spain. But anyway, as I was saying, if you're going to come here and live for a while, you're probably going to have to get a driver's license. If you're not from a European country. Remember that if you're from a European country, they respect your driver's license. So if you're from the UK, if you're from Ireland, if you're from Germany, France, or wherever, you can easily exchange your license here or just drive with the one that you've got, I suppose. But if you come from outside the European Union, you can drive for, I think, 6 months on your current license or on your country license. And then technically you have to get the Spanish one. And the Spanish one is a real nightmare to get. You got to go through the driving class system, just like you did when you were probably 17 or 18 years of age in your own country. You've got to sit this theoretical test, which is 30 or 40 questions. I can't remember exactly now because I did mine a few years ago. The questions are absolutely ridiculous. They're all based on memory. You just have to basically memorize all of the questions. You have to memorize 3,000 questions and hope that you can, get an easy 30 on the day. You're only allowed to have 3 mistakes, so 10%. And it's quite common for people to fail at the first attempt and then, try to get it on the second or third. When you get your theory exam or your written exam, then you go or you organize your your practical test, and you go to this place. Well, here in Madrid, you go to the licensing center, which is in Móstoles, I think, and there's only one place for the whole of Madrid. So there's 5 million people in the Madrid community. I think they all have to go to this one place. So it's an absolute nightmare. There's literally hundreds of driving schools there on any given day. You do your test with another 2 people in the car. They sit there in the back with you, and so you've got that added stress as well. I failed my first practical exam because I was given a bit of a difficult question that I didn't quite understand, and I made a mistake, and the light went off, and that was the end of that. 2 weeks later I went back again and didn't have any problems. Completely different type of test. It wasn't as rigorous. The instructor was a nicer guy, and that was it. That was it. And that was after having the lessons. You have to go through the driving school system. It doesn't matter how good a driver you are. if you don't have a minimum amount of lessons, basically you just don't get your license. I think there's some type of agreement between the driving schools and the people giving the test that they make you do it. They make you have all of these classes. Some people just literally have tens and tens of classes to try to get this test. I think I had about 6 or 7. I was more or less okay. And remember that I come from a country where we drive on the other side of the road, so that was an increased difficulty. But anyway, I got it. Here I am driving around, so what can I say? Now I'm going down into an underground parking, so there won't be any light. Have a good day, and I'll see you in the next vlog.